figured out that we go live before it starts. Yay, we go. There we go. We're live.
Oh, yay!
Yep.
Hi.
Before it tells me. Anyway, welcome everybody to Read, Watch, Vent. We are talking about A Discovery of Witches this month. And we have lots of opinions. So Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Deborah Harkness. Season 3, I think, just dropped on Amazon, or season 4, the latest season. So if you've gotten through more than season 1 of this show, you are beyond where we read for this one. We did the first book and the first season just to get a feel, as we do.
Yes.
And I think we have opinions. We have all the opinions.
We have opinions. I have opinions.
So many.
You have opinions.
Before we get into the opinions, for anybody who has not read or watched the show, let's do our little 30-second summary of what you think this story is about. And for everybody who's watching, there will be spoilers. So if you do not want spoilers, go read them and then come back and listen to this.
Lots of spoilers.
If you don't care about spoilers, then continue listening. We would love to have you with us. So,
okay. So who we've got is Diana Bishop, a witch, and Matthew Claremont, a sexy, sexy vampire. And they live in a world where witches and demons and vampires all exist among humans. Obviously, humans rule all, so they have to hide. They're in Oxford. They're both scholars. She's into alchemy. He's into sciencey stuff that I don't understand. A lot of DNA. And she finds this book that has magic, and then everyone starts stalking her because she found the book that's been lost for a really, really long time. And then Matthew, the sexy, sexy vampire, starts stalking her, and then they kind of fall in love and go to France, and more people start stalking them and trying to kill them.
So much stalking. That's basically the story. That is basically the story. Everybody stalked Diana Bishop. Let's see here. Okay, if we're going for my synopsis, I would say you hit most of the broad points. I would add that I feel like the book goes into more of humanity and what makes people kind of split into 4. There's a lot more science in the book discussed, and the philosophy behind what makes people different, because obviously humans are not in the story, but you have the vampires, the witches, and the demons, and they each highlight a different part of what it is to be human. Let's be real, because that's what this is an allegory about. And the central theme is sort of, yes, this overarching love story between the witch Diana Bishop and her vampire lover, but it's also about what makes us powerful. And I don't think that this particular first book gets to what makes us powerful, but I think it sets that up. I think that's the question that we're setting up. Where does our power come from? Does it come from love? Does it come from bestial strength? Does it come from intelligence? Does it come from genius?
Knowledge, skill, genius, instinct,
And what do we do with that power? So it's a fun book. It's a book, especially if you like academic subjects and you are a scholar at heart and you wish that you could just go and disappear to Oxford. This is a great book. I feel like this was written by someone who would really like to be Belle, Disney Beauty and the Beast. This is what she wanted to be. She wanted to be Belle, and then she grew up and wrote a book about it.
Yes,
because that's deeply the vibe.
I would like to clarify one thing. You see how I did the very basic surface plot, and she does, wait, you're on this side for me. She does the thinky stuff.
This is why we're good together.
This is why we're good together.
Because you did the first thing. You did the first thing so thoroughly. There's no reason for me to duplicate that, because yes, you hit all the plot points.
And you hit all the brainy points. Yeah. Okay. So the fascinating thing about this book, while we were both reading it, then we messaged each other, and the thing that we both said is that this book drags. Now it drags because it's super duper long. However, we both said that we don't feel like it's a bad drag. Because they like fill, even in the like day-to-day stuff, they fill it with a lot of stuff, a lot of sciencey stuff, a lot about thinky stuff, history. Like, it's so, there's so much thinking in it.
There's a lot of world building.
Yes,
that's what it is. There's a lot of like building out the mythology of what's happening in this world and why this conflict is important. Because the main character, the character that we are supposed to be seeing everything through, Diana Bishop, she's kind of learning about these things and also kind of telling us about her research as we go on. And I think it's interesting to have our narrator be someone who loves knowledge and also is learning things as they go. Because you can just feel that like passion for knowing things coming through, which is why even though the plot feels like it drags a little bit, you don't really mind, because this is actually a very interesting sort of set of mythology that Ms. Harkness has set up in her book.
Yeah. Yes. Indeed. And then after a certain point, it goes from this beautifully built world, these very intellectual people talking about all this cool history stuff, and then, you know, people fall in love and it gets a little bit, you know,
it's a little spicy. It's a little
bit spicy cheesy romance novel, but it's like tossed in there. It's a lovely salad with all of the world building and mythology and history. So like you don't mind it. For example, whenever the cheesy spicy stuff would come up, I would be like, oh. Same time.
Yep. I felt like it included the romantic elements very well. There was like a good build up to them. I much preferred the build up to them in the books as opposed to the show. And I think the reason I preferred it is because the books and the show are very clearly for an adult audience. Like this is not a CW show. It's just not. Because a teen romance show has to have, like, teen romance shows are paint by numbers, typically. Boy meets girl. They fall in love for no reason other than, like, teenage attraction. And they're both hot, and so everybody's just rooting for them to be together. And then the drama and the stakes in the show was, like, interpersonal. But you can do that really, really fast, which is why those teen romances on the CW get so freaking popular and everybody gets like drug into them so much. The problem is you have to sprinkle that in with a lot more spiciness than this show got to, because that's not the genre. The genre is actually romance, like adult romance, along with the historical fiction. And this is just my thesis on like why I think these two things are different.
Yay, fabulous.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, continue. I want to hear what you say. Because I was swirling.
To contrast, so we've got the teen romance beats. Those are not in the book. They're just not. Period. These are two adult characters that actually make a really intellectual choice to be in love. Like there is an attraction, but they choose this on purpose.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it's like, it was obvious that despite him being a super mega foxy, awesome, hot vampire, she was not attracted to him because he was super duper sexy. Yeah. But he was very, very smart. And though I have to say, though, part of the reason that she started to like him had to be that proximity thing. You know how there are those certain ways that you have to, you know, you can get people to like you more, and one of them is proximity or like being around them. Well, he stalked her.
He did. He stalked her. He totally stalked her.
Which, but don't fall in love with your stalker. But there was a reason.
It was kind of a Mr. Darcy sort of stalking, where it's like this appears to be creepy, but actually he just knows more, and he's trying to make sure that she's not
killed,
murdered by someone else who wants this information. Which, yeah I mean, I feel like it goes up without saying, don't fall in love with someone who stalks her. But he never actually like forced her to do anything.
No.
There was none of that creepiness. He was just always around in the background.
Yeah.
Which is its own kind of persuasion.
Yeah.
But in the book, they fall in love because they actually like are connecting on a very intellectual level on what they're studying. And they're studying the genetics of how these magical creatures came to be.
One is more, she studies alchemy and he studies
Genetics.
Genetics.
Mhm.
And so it's these it's crazy how different they are, but how well they link up.
Mhm.
And how they're very much capable of interweaving magic into all of it. Also, because like genetics are kind of magical in their own. Like,
Oh, they're super magical.
oh my god.
Yeah. A lot of people who have studied genetics have actually been persecuted by whatever religious organization they were talking to, because a lot of times they come up with something that doesn't fit with the theology of whatever's happening by the ruling, the ruling powers that be. So
yeah,
that's a thing.
Yeah. There's okay, I want to put so they talk about with demons, witches, and vampires, them all having very like they gravitate towards certain fields
Mhm.
based on what they are and
Mhm.
who they are and what their interests are based on who they are. For example, the demons are known for being geniuses, but on the brink of being
Of
mad.
insanity,
On the
which is
brink
great.
of insanity, which
I
is fabulous.
I really hope in future books, this might actually happen. I hope in future books there's more demon stuff, because there wasn't enough in here for me. I
Oh,
wanted more of that.
oh yeah. No, because the thing is when they're like they're geniuses but on the brink of madness, and so they go really really heavily into the creative fields and the artistic fields. I'm like, oh, I feel represented.
I am seen.
Then the vampires are super like intellectual sciences,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then the witches, what was the witches thing? Was it still
Witches. So I feel like the vampires and the witches are kind of, in a way, at least in this book, they're two sides of the same coin, because the vampires are very like brute force intellectualism and very structured intellectualism, and the witches are very like, they don't seem to need structure as much, and they're way more intuitive. Which if you really want to excel in any field, you actually kind of need both of those. You need the structure and the longevity and the power to be able to continue doing what you're doing, but you also need to be able to break your system if your system is broken. And you need to be able to follow just your intellect, your gut.
Yeah. So another way that matches up, because demons, geniuses, artists.
Yeah.
Crazy. Then you've got the vampires who are like super duper fast and super duper strong,
Yeah.
and they are that sort of bestial.
They're the Knights Templar. They like literally have like Knights Templar systems that they have built, systems of honor, systems of,
Yeah, because they're old. They are next level old school. When it comes to all of this stuff, chivalry and all of it. But the thing that I found really, really interesting about the vampires, because yes, they run really fast and they're really, really pretty, but this ain't Twilight. They don't sparkle. But they behave, or the way she describes it is very much pack behavior, specifically wolf behavior. And I find it so fascinating because she literally describes them like, oh, it's so cool. Because there are moments where in the book where Matthew, who of course is attracted to Diana because he's a vampire,
No, because they're destined to be together. That's what we find out by the end of it.
Honey,
It's
I can't hear
destiny.
you. You're on mute.
Shoot. I'm not. Hold on.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
I cannot
Test,
hear
test,
you.
test, test, test.
I cannot hear you.
No. Ah!
Oh no! We've lost Chloe.
Did we? Does this work?
I can't hear you.
Okay. We're gonna try one more thing. Excuse me. You can keep talking.
Keep talking? Okay.
Go for it.
So, yeah, they describe like he of course, you know, like I said, he wants to suck her blood. And so when they get in certain situations and he feels like this instinct, he's so self-aware, which is so fun.
Do you hear
And I still can't hear you. I will tell you when I can hear you. But yeah, he tells her, "Don't move." No, I can't hear you. Don't move or walk past me slowly, because it's the possibility that he will follow that instinct uncontrollably like a wild animal, which is so fascinating because he's so cultured. He knows so much. Has so much history, and yet his instincts rule him over this very, very logical side that he has.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And then with the witches, oh my god, the way they described magic made so much sense to me, because they're like, spell casting is different from magic. Which I thought was very cool, because spell casting requires words and da 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 da, and magic is spell casting requires words, spells, conjuring things, specifically thinking about something. But magic is described as pretty much things happening because a witch needs it, or a witch desires it.
Yep.
And they talk about desire a lot.
Okay, wait, real quick. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, one second. One second.
For this.
I need. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can see. Okay. So I'm gonna see if I can. All right. So everybody, we might be right back. Hold on. Can you?
I think she said, "Hi, everybody. We'll be right back." We're gonna restart it, and then we're gonna talk about le desire of it all.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Thank you.